Well, that didn't take long. Lectric is back with yet another electric bike with the brand new Lectric XPress. In this video, I'm going to be your shopping companion if you're considering this electric bike. First, I'll walk through all the components, give you a little bit of my perspective on them as well. Then I'll share some interesting clips with my interview with CEO Levi Conlow. I asked him why someone might choose the XP 3.0 versus the new Express. I asked them why they always launch bikes on Tuesdays when their next model is coming out. He even had an interesting challenge for JT and I who run the channel. And then finally, I'll go through the good and the bad, why you might want to buy the Express or some reasons why you might not. And before we get started, I should introduce myself. I'm Ryan from Ebike Escape, and I have one quick favor to ask you. If we've helped you make a purchase decision on any electric bike, on the Express or perhaps any other electric e-bike, check out the links down in the description. Clicking that link before you make your purchase is a free way to support content like this. Thank you so much for your support. With that, let's dive into some of the components and what we're looking at here. In true electric fashion, they are leading with price. This bike starts at $999 and goes up to $1,299. So what are the two options? The $999 model, you get a 500 watt motor that peaks at 1,092 watts. That comes with a 10.4 amp hour battery, or for $1,299, you can upgrade to the 750 watt motor that peaks at 1,310 watts, and that comes with a 14 amp hour battery. These are the same two sizes that are offered on the Lectric XP 3.0. And I know there's a lot of you who are wondering, should I spend the extra $300 and buy the long range version? And for launch, I think my answer is going to be yes, because not only do you get the larger 14 amp hour battery as well as the more powerful motor, but they're also including a spare battery as well to entice people to upgrade to the long range version. And those aren't the only two choices that you have. The bike is offered in a high step or a step-through, and if you've watched the channel, you know that I always recommend the step-through, but there is one other key difference on both of these models. The high step is going to come with more straight handlebars with just a slight rise to them and no adjustable stem. One main benefit on this step-through is that it has swept back handlebars and an adjustable stem. And the nice thing is, of course, the swept back handlebars put you in a more upright riding position, but also that adjustable stem allows you to dial in your ride even more. So that's going to be my preference. Let me know if you agree with me down in the comment section, step-through or high step. Now the frame choice is also going to impact who it fits. So the high step will fit riders down to 5'4", up to 6'4", according to Lectric. And the step-through, slightly less, as we would expect, starting at 5'2". Keep in mind, if you're a shorter rider under 5 feet, you still might want to go with the XP 3.0 step-through, which starts for riders all the way down to 4'10". Now, I already talked about motor power, but another thing that they're doing on the Express is they're using the stealth technology that we first saw on the Lectric XP. And if the XP is anything to go by, that motor is so much quieter than comparable hub drive electric bikes, so you can expect a quieter ride as well. The bike is capable of Class 1, Class 2, or Class 3 speeds. Class 1 is going to be 20 miles per hour while pedaling, no throttle. Class 2 is going to be 20 miles per hour while you're pedaling or using that thumb throttle they're using on the new Express. Keep in mind the XP 3.0s are using twist grip throttles, or Class 3 for speeds up to 28 miles per hour. More on that in a little bit. Not surprisingly, the Express is outfitted with hydraulic disc brakes with 180mm rotors, should be plenty of stopping power. And up front is a TC80 80mm front suspension fork. Front suspension isn't always a given at this price point, so I was happy to see it. And I asked Levi for more context on this front fork because that is a new brand to me. The Express comes with 27.5 by 2.1 inches wide. They're going to feel most at home on paved paths, but of course you have that front suspension, say you encounter any potholes like we have in Wisconsin. Up front is a 46 tooth front chainring, and in the rear 11 to 28 teeth. And it is a 7-speed drivetrain, and they're continuing to use Shimano tourney. which is on many of their other electric bikes. One thing that makes Lectric unique, especially in the direct-to-consumer space, is they believe that it's not the customer's responsibility to assemble their electric bike. So the way that the Express will come shipped, you simply attach the front axle using a through axle, which simply screws in. This is something that I think a large majority of people can do themselves. And because it's a through axle as opposed to a quick release, it's really hard to screw it up. And then to go along with that, you also need to install the pedals, but they are quick release pedals, so you don't even need a wrench for that. And these are the same pedals that we first saw on their cargo electric bike, the Lectric Expedition. And on that note, we have reviewed every single electric e-bike. We've done lots of different tests and comparisons, so be sure to check out some of our other videos. Now, a lot of those specs are impressive, but perhaps one of the most interesting things is for the first time, we have a torque sensor, not only from Lectric, but we have a torque sensor on a $1,000 electric bike, which is pretty much unheard of. And the team spent a lot of time thinking about how this should work. They're calling it their Power Plus programming. And one of the things that they sought out to do is to allow riders to hit up to 28 miles per hour without too much effort if they don't want to. Part of the downsides of some of these torque sensors is that you really need to put in a lot of pedal pressure in order to hit 28 miles per hour. That's, I think, why a lot of people still prefer cadence sensors, or at least there's some people that do. And so I'm really curious to see how this feels. Levi's going to go a little bit more in depth about that, but be sure to subscribe so you'll be the first one to know when our full review is live. With that, let's get into my conversation with Levi, where he lets me ask him any questions. Okay, so firstly, Levi, I need to know, like, how do you guys make any money on these $9.99 e-bikes?
Lots and lots of volume is probably the best recipe. Yeah, I don't know. Lectric tries to stay really efficient with our whole operation, and then high volume and candidly low marketing costs. Just having the products out there, people talking about it. At that price point, it's easy to not just buy one, but buy two. And then, it makes it easier for Lectric to achieve these price points.
Okay. Next, I want to know, what are you going to tell XP 3.0 owners, or perhaps people who are looking for a $9.99 in like Lectric XP 3.0 or Lectric XPress?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a utility question more than anything. What is the purpose of your bike? What is your lifestyle selection? So if you are someone that needs a folding bike, you don't want a bike rack, the 3.0 is still going to be it. It's that Swiss Army knife, do it all type of thing. But if you are just looking for what I call a traditional or normal bike, however you want to phrase it, the Express is kind of that, right? When you close your eyes and you think of a bike, you think of that diamond frame. The Express has that. It has a torque sensor, so you're going to have that more intuitive, natural pedaling experience. So the learning curve is less. You have 80 millimeters of travel, obviously just more comfort on that end. But, it doesn't have things like the built-in rack, so you can have a yep seat on it, or the passenger pack. It doesn't include it with the rack and benders because obviously we invested so much into other componentry on the bike. So it's really a purpose question at that point. We just want to dominate that, sub $1,500 price point. We want your only considerations should become Lectric.
All right, your personal pick, high step or step through?
I'm a high step dude. Yeah, it's just always been my choice.
Tell me about the development of the Step-Thru in particular.
Yeah. So the Step-Thru, we work with our design team here at Lectric. So engineers from Trek, Peloton, Hayes, work on creating this product, and then it just goes through a crazy amount of testing in order to launch it, right? So it goes through, I don't know if you're familiar with SGS, but SGS is a testing laboratory. And then we also work with I won't bore you with all the testing laboratories, but example goes to SGS, and then SGS puts it through the ringer. All of our frames have to do this, where you test flex, but longevity, load capacity, everything like that. And we have kind of switched to this testing standard that is more seen in Europe, but we use the ISO 4210 as the standard that we test all of our frames to. And it's not just our frames, it's the suspension has to go through it as well. And that is the to clarify, that is the highest testing standard in respect to bicycle frames and the rigidity of the complete bike. For us, we've had learning lessons over the last year, because you can build a really nice frame, but you have to pair it with the right accessories, or else you'll just naturally create flex. And so that was one of our learning lessons is, and I'll take the blame for it, because when I launched the X Peak, I was like, oh, just give all those people cargo packs. People love cargo packs because we've only done 20-inch tires. Well, what you'll notice is cargo packs are not compatible with most of the competition. Like, you can't put a cargo pack on an event and adventure, right? You can't put a front basket and a rear basket on it. It's just not compatible. And you look at some of the other biggest names in that space, and no one was doing it. It's like, oh shoot, we really screwed this one up, because some people were experiencing a flex to their bike when those baskets were on. When they weren't on, there was no issue. So I think that's just a learning lesson, and something that this product, the Express, doesn't won't have. Right, it's not compatible with those baskets. But you can still throw things on it, like the pannier bags, fishing rod holder, stuff like that.
Maybe speaking of other considerations, where do you view the Express in the lineup of some of your closest competitors? Like, what did you guys look at in the market? Price points?
Yeah, candidly, we basically only look at the big three. It's Lectric, it's Rad, and it's Aventon are the big three. And so we benchmark this product directly against the Aventon Pace, the Aventon Level, and the Rad City and the Radster City. And in our opinion, some of those that currently use torque sensors, there's been a serious flaw. I think probably more than anyone, I've been very anti-torque sensor because of the amount of energy you got to exert in order to have that high performance. So I have been very critical. And one of the other things I hate is when you get to top speed performance, you run up against a wall constantly. So what I wanted to make sure we could do is get 28 mile per hour speed, but you still get to choose how much effort you exert. So you can reach 28 miles per hour on pedal assist 3, which is the equivalent power output of Aventon and Rad, topping out at both of those products peak at 750 watts in their commuter class. But then you can go into pedal assist 5, where you're going to peak out at 1300 watts, and you can really enjoyably go that 28 mile per hour top speed. So actually, can I pitch you an idea?
Yes.
Can I pitch? All right. So this is for you two guys to do. So what I would love is for you to get an Express and whatever you think is the best of my competition, whether it's a Level or a Radster City, whatever. Get 1v1 and put a distance like 10 miles away, 10 or 15 miles away, and just see who gets there faster. And the problem with our competition is once you start going 25 miles per hour, you are exerting so much energy that you may only do it for 100 or 200 yards, and then you're spent. Our system is exerting enough power. It's a 6x multiplier for you, but it's using the PWR curve that you can really enjoy that 28 mile per hour speed, and you can maintain it that whole ride without huffing and puffing. And you can get to the end far faster than anyone else. Also, though, if you were just to do a throttle of like 0 to 20 miles per hour, we reach that 40% faster than our competition. So, but it's a bigger motor, right? We're not peaking at 750 watts. We're continuous at 750 rated, but peaking at 1300. So I like where we sit at, and the reality is we're essentially at the lowest end, $600. So even our 500 watt motor. So it comes in two variations, I should clarify. There's a 500 watt and the 750 watt. Our 500 watt still peaks higher than all of those competitors. It still can throttle up faster, and it can maintain that 25 to 28 mile per hour speed easier. If you're just looking to go extra fast and zippy and really have all that bite, that's when you make the move to the 750. But the 500 only has a 10.4 amp hour, and then the 750 has the 14 amp hour.
Sure. So lower pedal assist levels to get more of a workout, higher pedal assist levels, hit those top speeds.
Yeah, but you can comfortably go 25 miles per hour, 25 to 28 in pedal assist 3, and your legs would be, fully engaged at that point. But yeah, the party's really in pedal assist 4 and 5.
Should we expect torque sensors coming to other models with this introduction?
Well, Lectric has been working on two platforms for about a year now. One was the torque sensor with PWR Plus, which is now on the Express, and then the other was the 96 magnet cadence sensor that we did on the One. And so we believe that those are probably the future of Lectric's design and innovation. And so definitely expecting those to come forward on many of our models here to come.
All right. Most brands, especially at this price point, will put a no-name brand fork on it. You guys advertise the fork, so I want to hear more about that.
Yeah, so one of our engineers is from Hayes, and I don't know if you're familiar with Hayes, but it's probably one of the most premier suspension builders in North America. They're the makers of the Manitou fork, and essentially we gave this to him as a project. All right, we can work with great brands like RST, but let's start building in-house. Let's not just take a Zoom fork and throw our logo on it. Like, let's develop a front suspension that is rated to ISO 4210, and it's rated to ISO 4210-10. But since we're not advertising this as a mountain bike, we will not tell people to use it in that way, but it does meet that level of standard, has over 80 millimeters of travel, and was one of the important things that I saw for us to develop here at Lectric.
We're going to switch this next one up, but why do you guys launch e-bikes at midnight on Tuesday?
Oh, it's because of Halo. I remember vividly Halo 3 ODST, because I was too young for Halo 3 at that point. My parents wouldn't let me go, but all video game drops growing up were always Tuesdays at midnight. And I remember going to GameStop, sitting there, and as some people know, the reason we call it the XP is due to XP points from games like Halo and Call of Duty. And so we just like these little Easter eggs.
All right. So I'm personally very excited about the One and now the Express. But what's the next launch and when is it coming?
Lectric, we're always cooking up stuff. We're not done. That is all I'll say, is we are not done. We got more products to do and more componentry to put out there.
Next, let's get into the good and bad, why you should consider this bike and why you shouldn't. And remember, if you do decide to pick up this electric bike, links down in the description. Thank you so much for your support. Let's start with the good. Firstly, price. This bike unquestionably outspecs anything even near its price point, starting at $999, going up to $1299. It's something that Lectric just does. They could charge even a few $100s for this and people would still buy it, but they continue to drive prices down to make sure more people can get on electric bikes. Number 2, we have the torque sensor. I think this is a big one for a lot of people who have wanted a torque sensor electric bike, but have been looking at bikes, say, priced at $1,500 on the low end, and maybe even much higher than that. They want a more natural riding experience, but something at $1,000 just hasn't been available until now. For those of you who have been waiting for, let's call it a full-sized electric bike, that you didn't want to go with the XP 3.0, you didn't need a folding electric bike, you wanted something with bigger wheels, this is going to be that bike, and it hasn't been offered from Lectric before, and of course, great price. Number 4, motor power. Starting with the 500 watt version, it's still peaking at 1092 watts, but for those of you who perhaps live in a hilly area, you can opt for the 750 watt motor that's peaking over 1300 watts. That's something that you also don't see at this price point. So for those of you who like a little bit more of a thrilling experience, this is still going to be a great bike for that. Number 5, let's talk about battery. I know there is a good portion of the YouTube audience that loves large batteries. I personally think that a lot of people actually don't use the full capacity of their batteries. But for those of you who don't want to have any range anxiety, the $12.99 price point for the 2 batteries, both 14 amp hours, is a phenomenal deal. You should just pick that deal up, and you're just going to get an insane amount of range. And number 6, Lectric support. I keep a very close eye on the Lectric Facebook groups and other groups as well for various brands, because I want to know what brands that we can recommend to you so you're happy with your purchase. And time and time again, I see these posts about people who share their experience with Lectric customer support, sharing screenshots, and it is amazing sometimes Lectric support just goes completely out of their way to make their customers happy. And if you own Lectric, I would love to see your comments down in the description, whether you have had a good experience as well. Next, let's talk about some of the bad things. Firstly, unfortunately, this bike isn't shipping until June, which means if you're watching this as I film this in April 2024, you're just gonna have to wait, though of course you get an awesome deal on an electric bike, especially if you go with their pre-order special. And this is something that Lectric has done from time to time, offering pre-orders, but don't worry, they're a reputable company. Lectric is likely the biggest e-bike company in North America. And by offering pre-orders, of course, that helps drive prices down even further. Number 2, we have the derailleur. Now, I can't expect them to put anything better than a Shimano tourney derailleur on a $1,000 electric bike, but it is on the most entry-level components offered from Shimano. They're still fine for recreational riding. Lectric has been including them on their bikes for quite some time. Lots of other brands have been as well, but it's something to be aware of. And you could always upgrade to something better down the line, and don't worry, they can be replaced easily and cheaply as well. Number 3, no fenders and no rear rack. So if you want to accessorize this electric bike, like I know many of you do, you will need to purchase those separately. And a shameless plug for our own shop, if you need some bags, maybe a cell phone holder, or perhaps a battery bag, check out shop.ebikeescape.com. We sell high quality electric bike accessories, and you can also support our efforts here at eBike Escape. Number 4, and I want to know if this is a big deal to you in the comment section, the bike has a thumb throttle as opposed to a twist grip throttle. Which camp do you sit in? Me personally, I love the twist grip throttles. So unfortunately, if you have to have a twist grip throttle, you might want to pick up that XP 3.0 after all. And number 5, I want to talk about bike shop support. Lectric has partnered with bike shops around the US for service, though they still recommend that you go to them directly in case you have any warranty issues, and then they can work with your local shop to help you get any issues resolved. Now that also means that you can't just walk into a bike shop, generally speaking, and look at any of these electric bikes in person. That's of course where reviewers like me come in, where we try to show you exactly what you're getting so you can make a better purchasing decision. It's one of the reasons why Lectric has focused on easy setup of your electric bike. As soon as you get out of the box, you can attach the front wheel, throw on the pedals, do a safety check, and you should be good to go. And if you do decide to go into a bike shop, you're unquestionably going to be spending more. So that's my take on the Lectric XPress. If you've decided to pick one up for yourself, show us some support by using our links down in the description. Thank you so much for your support. We'll be hanging out in the comment section below. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.